Hello, Year 10 media. I hope you're all doing all right on this, second day of lockdown, third day of lockdown. I'm going to try using this software called Loom, which allows me to show you my screen and also my little head in the corner as well. So what I thought I could do is I could use that to talk you through what we've covered so far when it comes to the set products, right? We're not going to do any new material while we are on this this kind of school closure lockdown business, okay? But what we can do is we can revise all the stuff we've studied so far. So I thought I might do these little 10-20 minute videos where I talk to you about the set products, and then I will set you a task at the end of them, which I will put on our Google Classroom, so you can then submit that work to me that I can then mark and get back to you. So I thought we'd go right back to September. It feels an awfully long time ago now, and think about the first close study product that we looked at. That was, of course, the Quality Street advert from the 1950s, okay, which you can hopefully see here. If you remember, we had this gentleman sitting on the sofa here in his pinstripe suit. He's got his Quality Street here, and he's also got these two ladies who are showing him a certain degree of affection. And if you remember, we had the line, "What a delicious dilemma," which was kind of the anchorage of the advert, right? So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the various different components. If you remember this part of the exam, what we are looking for is either media language or representation, okay? So the question will either ask you how the image has been put together, the language has been used. You can talk about things like the color scheme, the positioning of the characters, the type of shot that's used, all of that kind of stuff. Or you can talk about how the people in this media product are being represented, okay? So let's start off with the image itself. Now, if you remember, one of the absolute key ideas when it came to this Quality Street advert was aspiration, right? And if you remember that word aspiration, what it means is to want to be sort of better than what you currently are or what you currently have. And the reason the 1950s is an interesting era for this is because obviously historically the Second World War has not long finished, right? 1945 was the end of the Second World War. Now, if you think during that conflict, there was rationing, right? Rationing was when you were only allowed a certain amount of everything, right? You would go to the shop and you would be given a certain parcel. You weren't allowed to choose whatever you liked. So when the war finished, the idea that you could afford luxury products again, the idea that you could have stuff just because they're nice rather than that you needed them, this was on the rise again, right? And there was this idea that Quality Street wanted to tap into this idea that somehow by buying Quality Street, you are elevating yourself up higher. You are perhaps becoming a higher class of person. You are climbing the social ladder by your choice of product, which maybe seems quite funny now to think about a box of chocolates having that power. But remember what I told you in class. Good advertising doesn't just sell the product, it sells the lifestyle that comes with the product, right? Often if you watch an advert now, say it's an advert for Nike or Adidas, you might not see a trainer, or you certainly might not see a long shot of a trainer during that whole advert. But what you will see is a huge amount of the kind of lifestyle they want you to associate with having that product, right? That if you buy these things, this is the kind of life that you will lead, okay? And Quality Street does that in quite an interesting way, right? If you see what we've got, let's start with the image. So you've got this medium long shot of the three characters, right? You've got these bright bold colours, but particularly if we start at the top, you've got this kind of gold, you've got purple here in the woman's dress in the painting, you've got the deep red and the deep green of these two women's clothes here. So straight away, we've got a colour palette that's supposed to connote luxury, right? Remember that keyword connotations? One of the things we're supposed to be connoting here is this is a luxury product. And the reason we know this even more, the reason this is anchored deeper, is because we've got these two people from what we call the Regency era. Okay, so the two people in the golden frame, they are from this time that was regarded as a time of incredible wealth, incredible luxury. Life was seen to be good at this point in time. If you think about it now, people will often look back at the 60s and call them the swinging 60s, and there was the hippie movement. There was a time of economic prosperity, right? There was money in the country, and people look back on that as something of a golden era. Now, in the 1950s, they look back on this Regency era as a golden time in British history. And you can see the connotations of these two people who were continuing characters who appeared in quality street marketing. They too are being drawn into the chocolates, right? Even though they're in this golden frame in the wall, they are being drawn towards these chocolates. Now, in terms of the composition in the image, what might be quite interesting to say is you've got this pyramid structure. If you look, the men and the single man and the two women, they form this kind of pyramid, which is an interesting shape, right? Because the pyramid has connotations of social class, right? If you think about it, we often talk about society as being structured like a pyramid, with more people at the bottom who have less, and the people at the top who have more being fewer of those people. So the pyramid is a really interesting shape because it perhaps connotes that you're climbing up that pyramid, right? That you're getting towards that summit, and you are moving by your choice of product. You are moving up the societal pyramid, the pyramid of society. We can see that in the man's clothes. He's in this pinstripe suit. Okay, I'm not sure if the recording stopped or not there. I'm hoping it didn't. I'm hoping we're still going. Anyway, like I said, this pyramid structure is interesting. Now, you've got the man in his pinstripe suit, which has connotations of kind of the middle classes, right? And he is choosing this luxurious product. You don't need chocolates. Obviously, chocolates are not an essential item that's going to keep you alive. He's exhibiting his position in society by choosing this luxurious box of chocolates. But now we come on to the key aspect of the message, which is linked to the chocolates and the women. Now, the tagline, "What a delicious dilemma," is very, very interesting here, because you've got this alliterative language, of course, delicious and dilemma together. And that question, really, to understand that, you have to look at the colours of the women's clothing and then look at the chocolates down here. Because if you look, the woman on the left has got this red and white top on. She's got this green skirt. Over here, this woman with golden hair has got this red dress on. So if you look, they are essentially dressed as the chocolates, right? These two women are dressed up as if they were the chocolate strawberry cup that you see here and the Harrogate toffee that you can see here. Now, obviously, the connotations of this are that the man is having to choose both between the chocolates and between the women as well, right? These chocolates are giving him a kind of sexual power. They are allowing him not just to select what chocolate treat he wants, but which woman he wants. Now, obviously, this is a very, very old-fashioned method of advertising. We talked about it in class, and we said you would not advertise like this now. People would be quite upset, quite rightly too, if you brought out this advertisement in the modern day. But back in the 50s, in the sort of early eras of feminism, sort of you're getting towards the feminist movement, but it wasn't perhaps in full swing yet. This kind of advertising was much, much more common. Do you remember I showed you all those adverts in class where the woman had been given a Hoover for Christmas and she was like stretched out on the floor with her new Hoover, kind of coying over it, as if a Hoover could be the the most wonderful present a woman could possibly receive. Now, so that kind of thing was more common. And what you're essentially saying is that this product gives you power, right? Not only by buying the product, are you raising your social status, as we can see with the Regency figures, the color scheme, the pyramid structure of the image, but it's also given this man kind of sexual power, right, over these two women, and suggesting that he can choose between them, right? That in his new position in society gives him so much power that he can select one of these women as easily as he can select one of the chocolates. So that is anchored by this idea of a delicious dilemma. It's saying, oh, this is a nice problem to have, basically. You know, buy this product, you'll find yourself having to make very, very nice decisions, not difficult decisions like, oh, goodness, should I buy this or should I heat my house this week? You know, not horrible decisions, but nice decisions, because the war is over, rationing is over, and now you can afford to spend your money on luxury items, which in turn will elevate you in society. Which leads us again into the deep purple, the font, of course, all of this connoting this luxury. 18 delightfully different toffees and chocolates, 18 different chocolates. Now, it might not seem like a big deal to us now, right? But back then, that was the idea of so much selection was important. The idea that, oh my goodness, you buy this tin and you've got these 18 different options. That meant quite a lot back then. That idea that the shackles were off, we're no longer being rationed, the war's over, and now your money gives you these options to make these nice choices, to have these delicious dilemmas. Now, an interesting counter-argument is that actually we talk about this being quite a patriarchal image, and it certainly is, don't get me wrong. But you could also make that argument, you might remember us talking about this, you can also make the argument that there's perhaps the early sort of beginnings of feminism are starting to show up in the image, in the sense that you can see the women are also helping themselves to a chocolate. So maybe just a sort of ghost of what's to come, perhaps. The idea that, in a way, the women are manipulating the man, and they too are using their sort of sexual power in this scenario to get the thing that they want. So you can make the sort of counter argument a bit that, as well as it being an incredibly patriarchal, old-fashioned image, perhaps we're also starting to see the rise of female empowerment as well. And you could look at this image and say, oh, well, maybe the guy's the stupid one because he's the one who's losing out on his chocolates. They're using the situation to get the things that they want out of it as well. Not saying that that's the complete argument you'd make, but it's always interesting to throw a counter argument in there as well. So hopefully that revised some of the stuff you knew about it. I'm going to set you a question on this where you're going to talk about the three aspects of media language. You're going to talk about the image that's been used. So there's a lot you can say about that. You're going to talk about the language. So you've got your delicious dilemma. You've got the 18 delightfully different toffees and chocolates. And then you've got obviously the name of the brand itself, Quality Street. And then finally, you're going to talk about the layout. Now, remember, separating layout and image can be quite different. And actually, a lot of the good points you might make about image might end up sort of being to do with layout as well. And there's nothing wrong with that, okay? A good point about image and layout can work together. But for example, what I mean is, so a comment about the image would be perhaps more to do with what he's wearing and the color, you know, the colors that the women are wearing and their correlation to the chocolates. A point about layout might be more to do with the pyramid structure that their three forms are making. Might be more to do with the position of the product in relation to the rest of the image. And yeah, think about the media language we've studied as well. Think about the media theorists we've studied as well. Could you bring in a bit of Laura Mulvey and the male gaze at this point? Could you bring in, are there any enigma codes in this advert? What about Vladimir Prop? I mean, there's a clear hero of this image, isn't there? That's pretty obvious. But is there a villain? Is there someone helping the hero? Are there some more interesting things you can say? Right, as I say, I'll put the question in Google Classroom, and good luck. write them out and then send them over, and we will talk again very soon and see how you got on. Hope you're all doing okay. Hope you're not doing anything weird like eating tuna at a very early time in the morning or anything like that. And yeah, hope to see you all soon.